The Witch's Tree. When I was probably 4 or 5, I remember my father telling me this story. There was this giant, gnarly, dead tree that was the third tree from the left of one of our gates between two fields. My dad said that when he was a kid, that he and his brother had been out in the woods when they saw a fire in the distance. Being young boys in the early 50s, they went to see what it was. Now, the story he told was that when they came out from the set of the woods, they saw a large bonfire near the tree, and what appeared to be 3 women dancing around it. They thought it was a party. Or some crazy paganism. Now, this next part of the story is hard for me to remember. It went one of a few ways. Either 3 orbs of fire ascended out of the fire and began wielding around the tree, or the women turned into orbs and flew around the tree. The women just began flying, and the orbs were something else I can't remember. But my dad and uncle immediately started running back to the farm, and I think he said that whatever was flying was moving in their direction, but I don't think quite giving chase. They went out there days later, and there was no evidence of a bonfire. Here's the creepy part to me. As a kid, I was afraid of the dead tree because of the story. Most of our dead trees fall at some point just from internal rot after not being sustained. But this tree, several years ago, sprouted leaves and is now a full tree. It's not something I could miss because, like I said, it's by a gate and you just count 3 trees over. It's not some tree out in the middle of the woods with a bunch of other trees. I asked my dad about the story after I noticed the tree growing leaves. He kind of chuckled, but more like his nerves chuckled, so I don't know if it's just playing a decade-long joke or what. Unfortunately, now he has brain damage from multiple strokes, and so, though I was asked again, his memory can't really be trusted as to whether he would remember if the story was a joke. Just a scary story to tell his son, whether it really happened, and he can't remember, or whatever. I don't really happen, but his brain would trick him into believing it did. It's crazy because even though the story sounds made up, dead tree blooming always unnerves me every time I open the gate. Even now in my 30s, my eyes are fixed on it, like I expect something to happen. This happened to me years ago. Still seems like yesterday. I was driving with my girlfriend to her parents' house to celebrate her father's birthday. Mind you, trip from where I lived to her parents, it's 6 hour drive. We packed things up, gifts and some other small stuff, and we were ready to go. The journey at the beginning was fine, not much traffic. It was very nice weather considering it was the start of spring. Then, out of nowhere, I got a flat tire. Not a problem, I'm a handy guy. I replaced it, but it took a while. And then evening approached. I was driving using Google Maps. The road I was going was new to me. My girlfriend started napping and said to wake her up when we were going to be near. I said okay. She was working long hours the day before. The Google Maps was showing the road through woods. I had suspicions that maybe the map was not showing the right way, because from time to time Google does that, changes the direction out of nowhere, that kind of thing. When I reached the forest, I stumbled across a small parking lot. It was a very old and seemingly nobody really used it. Patches of uncut grass, and the road to the park was full with holes. And surprise, surprise, Google changed the direction. I stopped in the parking lot. There was nobody around. I turned off the engine, but left the headlights on. I was checking my phone for new directions and didn't really pay attention what was going on around me, but just then I see three men in front of my car, very close. They were approaching stealthy, and they were coming towards my car. I turned on the engine, reversed the car, and was driving as fast as I could. As I was backing away, I saw face one of the man. It was creepy. He had no real emotion, no anger, but his eyes said it all. He had evil intentions. My girlfriend woke up and she started asking what I was doing. I said to her someone was chasing us. Apparently I screamed and was shaking while driving, so she knew I wasn't messing around. I didn't care where. I wanted to escape the forest ASAP. I was looking over my mirror every 10 minutes. That was the creepiest thing that happened to me in my whole life. I don't know who those men were or what they wanted to do. My grandmother never missed a chance to tell me about her home, a home deep in the southern regions of England, now just an unremarkable city like any other, full of new build estates, shopping outlets and car parks. But before its modernisation, it was an equally uninspiring village, with a butcher, a baker and a post office. Now long forgotten, with but one interesting thing about it, a bragging right amongst locals, a part of history passed to me from my grandmother, an off-putting legend and a macabre tale, the tale of the sultry. February was the best time to catch it, the residents would say. On your average icy autumn night, the sky would be jet black but clear of clouds, yet strangely stars would light up the evening, only the moon's light beaming a harsh glow over the rusty cold cast iron gates of the village hilltop cemetery, the moon casting shadows over the ground, lighting up the figures. The lucky or unlucky passers through would be greeted by the eerie sight of the dance. 5 beautiful beings like forest nymphs would circle with a skip and a song around an old evergreen yew tree, a tree even older than the foundations of the cemetery's church, older than even the first grave. The yew had grown taller, stretched higher than any other. It had been nourished by the bodies that had been put to rest at its feet for nearly a century now. Nobody had ever been able to repeat the song of the nymphs. All that spoke of their encounters said that it was more of a feeling, a sensation, resonating and vibrating from the ground in a continuous steady melody, hypnotic hum, that each said filled their bodies and seemed to put all who heard it in a trance. Some believed the creature Cernunnos, the Celtic lord of the wild, to be responsible for these sightings, his children, lost souls of the underworld, raising up to dance and worship and indulge once more. But many other people thought the apparitions were those the residents of the graveyard itself, who just wanted to stretch their limbs by raising from the eternal slumber a while to recreate the fun times they once had when they were alive. Nothing of any horror was ever witnessed, or come to think of it, befell the onlookers of the unearthly performance, and in time the happening became fondly thought of by the locals and taken into their hearts and souls in uplifting ways. In the end, the stories of the Soul Tree, a beautiful and remarkable yew atop a hill by an old and decaying church, with the majesty and awe to raise creatures of the below realms, has been left as just that, a forgotten tale of a forgotten place, lost to a world of help-to-buy schemes and click-and-collect shopping, all in the name of progression.